Hi, everyone. Welcome to Soulprint. Thank you very, very much for being here. This is the only video I'm going to put out this week, except for Pendulum Friday. So you're going to be seeing this on Wednesday, the 21st of May, and then I will be back on Friday. So this would be the video to put your questions in um, for Friday. Okay. The energy around the Trump administration has become so aggressive, so um, retaliatory. I want to take a quick look at what is going on. I'm going to be channeling this. It concerns me, honestly, because it's getting so aggressive that they're just going after everybody and anybody. Apparently now they're going after like the mayor of Chicago because they didn't like something he said. Um, they're going after judges. They're going after house reps. It's crazy what's going on here, and I want to see what's sort of behind it and what we can anticipate going forward. Honestly, um, quick. If those of you are inclined, please send some loving and healing energy to Joe Biden. He's been diagnosed with that aggressive form of prostate cancer. So they're saying that it should respond well to treatment. But if you feel so inspired, send them off some energy. And also send some energy, please, to those poor people who are in like southern US, who are getting just hammered with tornadoes. I mean, Kentucky took a really big hit. And honestly, I know there are other states. I don't remember which ones. And I listen, Canadian geography is a little tricky for me. So US geography, forget it. It's right out of my realm. But you all know what states have been impacted. Send them some energy too. It's a really, really hard thing that they're going through. And um, since the Trump administration doesn't feel at all inclined to um, send any sort of like emergency funding, disaster relief, and in fact, while the tornado was ripping up parts of the country, Trump was very, very busy on his golf course golfing. So, Spirit, what is going on? Like literally, what is going on? So, this is about flexing their muscles, is about humoring the guy in the oval. He is surrounded in that immediate circle of his with people who are just as deranged as he is, who are so racist, who are so bigoted, who are so convinced that the only way to save the United States is to just get rid of everybody who isn't white and preferably male. I mean, they'll tolerate the women because they stripped away their rights. So white women can now hang out with the white man. They have no rights. But everybody else needs to leave. Um, and so the behavior, it's like getting reinforced, right? Because it's all in a bubble. And I saw a quick little interview on Tuesday with some guy who is the czar of immigration. And apparently they sent somebody to the wrong country um, on like falsified information, on like wrong information. And all the czar had to say was, well, I'm not familiar with that case. Um, Asked about, you know, arresting other government officials. His response is, well, I think that their behavior was, a danger. So you've got a bubble, right? And honestly, even the Republicans in the House and the Senate, by and large, are not privy to that circle. So what you have is like a runaway train. Part of why they're getting more aggressive is because they keep getting told no. And the more they get told no, like a child having a temper tantrum, the louder and the more aggressive they become. There is a sense that this is sort of all going to come crashing down on them. Like, there's a feeling of urgency. It's like, we got to do this fast, because I don't know that they're exactly clear on what the because is. Because on the one hand, there's this idea of rush, get it done, make our mark, etc. And then on the other hand, there's this idea of setting up protocols, behaviors, laws, rules that are going to keep 45 in office for an indefinite period of time. So you're dealing, like, simultaneously, they're dealing with these two very, very different energies. Excuse me. And that's in some ways creating a lot of the static that surrounds them. But there's definitely, more and more the courts are telling them no. The protests, oh my, they are not stopping those protests. Like every day in every state, just about, you've got protests. And, even Republican politicians are starting to react. Now, they may not exactly be reacting in public, but they are reacting privately and internally. And they're getting more and more concerned, frankly, about their own positions, security, longevity, because they recognize that there's just a lot of people who are really, really angry with what's going on and behavior. And the thing is those protests are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're not diminishing. Their power is expanding. And so there's concern about that. And honestly, there's some concern about the degree to which Trump will either insist governors deal with it or figure out a way where he should deal with it. And again, it's this manipulation of democracy. It is a manipulation of rules, traditions, laws. He doesn't care. He is just bound and determined to get done what he wants to get done. So what's his motivation exactly, Spirit? What's going on with him? He wants to make a permanent mark. He really does believe he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. That's, what this whole, I can stop the Russia-Ukraine war in 24 hours. Oh, well, maybe not. Okay, well, like, they're finally talking. except I completely side with Russia, but but he really believes, listen, Obama got one, and he really believes he should get one too. Um, that's part of what's going on with him. And part of it is this is someone who is simply not used to being told no. Now, he didn't handle it well when he was just a private citizen. He handled it less well in his first term. But now he views it as literally people being traitors around him. The court is a traitor. The laws are a traitor. The people who are not siding with him are traitors. There is just this, he can't handle being told no. And the louder the no's get, the more the volume ramps up on them, the more and more aggressive he becomes. We know this behavior. He's done it like his whole life. But for those who weren't paying attention to the goof, because, they were doing other things, we certainly saw that in the first administration. Well, this administration is the first one on steroids, okay? Things that he would never even have entertained. In the first one, he is now blatantly doing in the second, in part because he now has a tighter circle around him of people who are on the same page, I guess you want to say. What's interesting is that the energy to force him out is increasing substantially. I don't know how that can be done within the framework of the Constitution, but there are a lot of people working on figuring it out because he is such a threat. Like, not only is he a threat to the United States, to democracy, he's a threat to the world. And he is a threat to any country that does not believe the way he believes. And he believes in autocracies. He believes in dictatorships. He thinks that that's the way to rule. And so he has and is developing an increasing contempt, literally contempt, for countries that think that democracy is a good thing. And you're going to continue to see that sort of insulting behavior from him because he's getting pushback from those countries. And he don't like that either. So again, I think the way to sort of try to understand his behavior is really, really think of your average 2 or 3-year-old having a temper tantrum. And I apologize really to 2 and 3-year-olds because I think most of them don't even hit these extremes. But there's no sort of rationale. There's no like calming him down. There's no getting him to pivot anymore. He simply has become completely entrenched in what he believes. And he's now, honestly, he's figured out that by and large, nobody is going to question him. He can say the most outrageous things. The media is not going to question him. Well, so what does that do? That just encourages him to say more and more outrageous things because he knows no one's going to fact check him, certainly not in real time, and by and large, not really at all. So It's like he's been given it's like he's been given permission that he honestly wasn't looking for in the first place. So, is the movement to get him out of office, is that going to continue to grow? Yes, it will, because the more outrageous his behavior, and it's not only that, it's the more damage that he's doing, that Doge has done. Because you're now starting to see the impact of it, right? You've got, air traffic controllers who there's not enough of them, they're exhausted. There's glitches going on with equipment. You have agencies who have been reduced to almost a skeleton crew, and those people are beyond exhausted. And it's not a little thing that's going on. There's like hundreds of thousands of applications for social insurance or social security that aren't being processed in a timely manner. There's, really important medical research that's not being done because he's canceled it. It there is there's no low enough. We know this. But as you're starting to see the impact of these ridiculous and rash decisions that have been made, you're going to see that energy increasing because, it's the same thing, right? Republicans are all loving him until it's their problem, until they're not getting the coverage they need, until they're not getting disaster relief, until they're not getting medical care. Then, wait a minute. Now we're going to start pushing back. And that's the energy that's surrounding this thing. It's like the Democrats and the independents has started it. But what I'm being told is that what is going to actually keep the momentum going are Republicans who are going to be joining the fight, if you will, joining that energy, joining the protest, making their voices heard loud and clear. And this is the thing. If you are a governor in a Republican state, Democrats are pissed off at you. Well, so what? They're always pissed off at you. Oh, wait a minute. It's a very, very, very different thing when all of a sudden now Republicans are pissed off at you. That requires a different set of behaviors. And they're struggling to figure out what that looks like and still not antagonize the wannabe king. Okay? It's the momentum to sort of get him out of office. Is that going to become strong enough and powerful enough that it truly becomes something that could truly become a reality? Okay, they're saying it is, and it will. But there are two other areas where he's more at risk, I guess. Um, One is danger coming from side. I'm being very careful. And one is um, a health um, crisis or episode. There continues to be work that's being done to um, prove that the election was that there was cheating or alterations that took place that created the result that was created. But that will be met with significant pushback um, by Republicans. So even though that potential is there, it feels like that's almost going to be a harder, mountain to climb. There truly is a sense of shock and outrage at the amount of damage that this person has done and his administration has done um, in 100 and what, 10, 15 days? And that's actually part of the problem is what you have are people who have almost reverted into a state of shock. And so where they're at truly is trying to wrap their heads around the reality of this situation because it simply wasn't on people's radar um, or not on enough people's radar. Certainly, Kamala Harris was really loud about what was going to take place, and she wasn't wrong. Hillary Clinton, another one. Biden. But where you're at is the people who really need to push back and resist are people of his own party. And they are, it's interesting because on the one hand, they're like just in shock. And on the other hand, they're like, we haven't had this much power in ever. Let's push. So again, you've got that internal struggle thing that's going on. And there's a lot of it going on all over the place. And that again creates a sort of staticky energy that everybody's feeling and everybody's trying to deal with. I'm just going to ask this. We get conflicting answers about this question, so I want to see if a spirit has some clarity for us. Is he likely to leave the country? Is he likely to live the rest of his life in exile? If there is is either successful attempt to get him out of office, or it looks like the resistance is building and building. Part of the reason that he is pushing the development of businesses overseas, Saudi Arabia, the UAE, maybe, yeah, United Arab Emirates, is because some part of his long-term plan is to end up there. Now, whether that ends up happening, I don't know. I don't know if you guys have heard the latest. So apparently, that the deal to whatever that huge a building complex that he's created, that like the Trump family or the Trump organization and the Kushner organization have come together on to build. Well, apparently it's been uncovered that one of the documents that were, this was about a building that had historical landmark protection. Apparently, and in order to build what they want, they need to get rid of this thing. Well, apparently, the document that justified being able to remove the protection, they now understand was forged. So this is what you've got going on here. Make no mistake. His two older sons are very, very busy doing whatever daddy wants done to secure their fortunes, the family name, that kind of thing. And they learned from daddy that there is no low enough. And so that's the behavior that you're going to experience, not only from them, but that son-in-law. The youngest son has now reached an age where his approval, daddy's approval, has become very, very important. So for now, you can anticipate he is more inclined to follow his brother's footsteps than not. All right, final question. How do we all cope with this? You stay active. Whatever you can do to contribute to the energy of resistance, of activization, of do. Whatever it is in your world you can do. Some of you can protest, some of you can send energy, some of you can contribute financially to certain organizations. Whatever you can do. It is empowering. And the more empowered we individually feel, the more empowered does the collective feel. Take care of yourself. Don't saturate yourself with the insanity because it serves no purpose. If it's possible, particularly they're saying for people in red states, to find some sort of a support organization. And I know a lot of you are in red states and you don't see that, but there are protests going on in red states, which means there has to be an organization. There has to be something that's coming together and putting that energy, that information out there, getting these protests moving forward. It may not be in your little town or city, but find it. Maybe you can get some support through that organization. Maybe there are support groups. Maybe there's something that you can do to, again, make you feel like you are empowered. So where we're at right now is that our energy, the things we do, the things we think about, the things we resist, have a powerful and positive impact. So that's the focus. That's how you move forward. That's how you get stuff done. And that's how you control the crazy. It's how you maintain your sanity. But again, it's not enough to just maintain your sanity. Um, you know, the things we think are incredibly important because they create the dialogue that then influences our actions and our behavior. Don't lose sight of that. It's really, really important. Okay. I am hoping this was helpful. As I said, this is the only video this week, except for Pendulum Friday. I'm just taking a little bit of downtime, and I look forward to your questions because they're always like so amazing and insightful and intelligent. Thank you very, very much for being here. Thank you for the ongoing support of this channel. To new subscribers, welcome. Thank you very, very much for being here. To my established ones, I adore you. And until next time, take care and be well. Bye for now. Sorry, hold on here.